Alright, I've got a treat for you guys today. Recently I was talking on stream about Street Fighter Balance, and somehow we all started talking about Vanilla Vega. For those who didn't play back then, SF4 Vega at launch was one of the most overtly bad characters in the franchise history, and he was considered to be bottom 1 in the arcade version of Vanilla, and down with Dan as bottom 2 in the console version. For reference, Dan is also significantly worse in Vanilla than he was in all later versions, and yet he's still probably better than Vanilla Claw. In this video I'm going to go over every reason I can remember that Vanilla Vega was bad. I made a video like this before, but it was ages ago and very informal and incomplete. I'm not going to show the things I consider to be bad or broken about Vega in a particular order, so some things will be minor annoyances and some will be critical flaws. The first thing I want to show is actually almost impossible for me to demonstrate. About 2 to 3% of the time in Vanilla, Vega would just completely fail to find a wall and fly at it without ever latching onto it and jumping off. This happened with his Flying Barcelona, Sky High Claw, EX Barcelona, Super, and Ultra. I think they patched something about the walls or screen scrolling rather than Vega himself, because it doesn't seem to happen with Edition Select. Let me immediately address Vega's elephants in the room so you don't spend the whole video anticipating them. Down forward medium kick was not an overhead. This wasn't a huge deal for Vanilla Vega because he could still use it to poke or go over lows, but it looks like an overhead, has long startup like an overhead, and Vega generally lacked in ways to open opponents up outside his admittedly good car throw. Capcom made it an overhead in Super after it was one of his most requested changes. Ultra 1, then Vega's only Ultra, did not hit on the way up. Combined with the ridiculous startup, this made it very difficult to land after a focus attack, generally impossible on focus forward dash. Vega had no combo into Ultra, which was not uncommon in Vanilla, but even the universal combo of Focus Ultra that let you land things like Geef Ultra 1 or Akuma Ultra 1 was unusually restrictive for Vega. That would be fine if Ultra 1 was easy to land in neutral, but that was almost impossible too. Unlike most Ultras, it had no invincibility and was too slow to function as a realistic anti-air, even if Vega had his back touching the wall. The only realistic way to land it was to use it to go through a fireball, but in Vanilla it only went through fireballs after reaching the wall, and as I just implied, Vega's Ultra has variable startup depending on how long he takes to reach the wall. This means that even punishing fireballs is almost impossible with it. So you could only realistically use it when you were right against the wall, you had Ultra, you had Charge, and the opponent was still throwing fireballs. But any opponent could just not throw fireballs under those circumstances. This meant landing Vega's Ultra was almost impossible against an opponent who knew the matchup. It was also generally useless against anyone who didn't have a fireball. Ultra wasn't a good punish against unsafe attacks either, again due to its long startup. Ryu Sweep is minus 14. And his light uppercut is minus 21. In Super, Vega's Ultra 1 hits on the way up, which at least made it significantly easier to use as a punish or after a focus. But still no one picked it, because Super also introduced Ultra 2, which had better startup and fixed a number of Vega's other flaws. Vega's grounded normals were actually generally pretty good, even in Vanilla. The big downside was his complete lack of frame advantage. Most characters in SF4 can combo their light normals into a low strong, a low forward, or even something like a close fierce, and then go into their max damage combos from there. Vega's low jab is a one-frame link into itself. And because it's a low jab, it's unplinkable unless you plink with the select button. The only other things it linked into were low short, which was only useful because unlike jab it is plinkable, and low strong, which is admittedly a very useful link. Both low short and low strong are also one-frame links. It's annoying having even a single one-frame link in your light normal confirms. Because Vega's a charge character, he has to hit 2 one-frame links in order to charge an EX Flying Barcelona if he starts with no charge. Even if you have charge, Vega's specials are abysmal for comboing. Light Rolling Crystal Flash combos from strong only after a single link. 2 or more and it falls out. Scarlet Terror only works after 1 or 2 light normals, since Vega's only linkable medium has too much pushback. Not to mention, this is a one-frame unplinkable unconfirmable link into an unsafe special. which also whiffs on crouching opponents after any links. And EX Flying Barcelona's hitbox is abysmal in vanilla, so it falls out of all kinds of combos. I'll talk more about this later. So in addition to being unusually and frustratingly difficult, Vega's light normal combos generally have no good ender. His low short is only +3 on hit, and he has no 3-frame normal, so it generally can't start combos. This is supposedly compensated by his low forward, which is +5 and links into useful things like low jab, low strong, and stam roundhouse. However, the slow startup on Vega's specials combined with the pushback of this link means Vega actually has almost no ender here. Unlike Super Street Fighter 4, low forward, low strong, EX Flying Barcelona actually only works on 3 or 4 characters. And it won't even work on them if they're crouching. Similarly, Stand Fierce, Low Strong, EX Barcelona only works on tall characters, though at least it forces stand. That's Vega's only other useful link, so Vega has basically no useful links and almost zero ability to confirm combos against the vast majority of the cast. A huge weakness Vega had was a vulnerability to fireball pressure. Vega has 3 dedicated answers to fireballs. One is using EX roll to go through them. Unfortunately, this is pretty slow, so you needed to have a bar and spend a meter predictably. At the very least, it was safe. His next answer to fireballs was EX Sky High Claw. Again, this couldn't be used on reaction to fireballs due to poor startup, so again you needed to have charge and spend a meter predictably in order to punish them. And unlike EX Roll, this is unsafe on block. Not to mention, it again has variable startup depending on how long Vega takes to reach the wall. Vega's only other answer to fireballs was predictively jumping over them. Vega's jump is pretty quick even compared to other characters, but you really don't want your only answer to fireballs to be the universal answer of jumping. Especially when anti-airs were so potent in vanilla. Vega didn't get an answer to fireballs which could be used on reaction until the addition of his Ultra 2. Let's talk a bit about Vega's specials. Scarlet Terror was used almost exclusively after Cosmic Heal, Vega's launcher. In cancels it has really disappointing range, so he couldn't use it to end most combos. Every now and then you could combo it from low forward if they were pretty close. Unfortunately, Vega has almost no combos into low forward. I'd like to mention now that Scarlet Terror requires a down back charge, and it's the only charge move in the game like that. Every other charge move requires either a down charge or a back charge, but Scarlet Terror requires both. An unusual and unnecessary restriction, I think. EX Scarlet Terror was basically identical to Heavy Scarlet Terror, except it had juggle potential. Pretty much the only juggle this gives Vega is Light into EX Scarlet Terror, which admittedly gets some pretty good damage. The only problem is that Light Scarlet Terror is really hard to land. It won't combo after Vega's Cosmic Heal. And it's even more restrictive in cancels than Heavy Scarlet Terror. It won't combo even after a point blank low forward. This unfortunately made EX Scarlet Terror kind of useless, because the main combo into it was pretty rare. Both Light and Heavy Scarlet Terror could be used preemptively as anti-airs, but they had no invincibility and bad hitboxes, so they often lost to air normals. If they did work, you got decent returns. Light Rolling Crystal Flash resolves quickly, is safe on block, and does chip damage, which makes it a fairly decent move to use in neutral. The long range and high pushback make it ideal for badgering opponents, and you could even combo into it from certain attacks. Both medium and heavy roll were also safe, but only combo from close fierce. For one, this meant there was absolutely no reason to ever use the medium version, since they're nearly identical in neutral, and heavy is stronger in the only combo route. What's worse, medium wasn't a true block string. This meant anyone with an invincible reversal could react to the blocking animation and just mash DP on reaction. or worse, ultra him. Rolling Crystal Flash also had the longest charge time in the game. Vega was the only character with a non-standard charge time in vanilla, with his Scarlet Terror at 42 frames and his Rolling Crystal Flash at 60. The standard was 55, by the way. This makes a lot of his roll combos weirdly hard to hit. From Arcade Edition onward, Vega's EX roll is +4 on hit, enabling strong 1 and 2 bar combos. In vanilla, it's only +2 on hit, and does only barely more damage than heavy roll. So there's no real reason to try and combo into it. Like medium and heavy roll, it only combos from close fierce anyway, so you don't exactly have many opportunities to land it. By Ultra Street Fighter 4, EX Flying Barcelona is usually regarded to be one of the best EX moves in the game, and Vega's best feature. It allows him to combo and knock down in good damage even from very long range pokes, and it's usually decently safe on block between steering away from the opponent or mixing them up with the ender. As I've showed, on almost the whole cast, just about every B&B into it doesn't work in vanilla. Especially on a crouching opponent. The main buff Vega got in Super was fixing this hitbox, which instantly gave Vega both significantly improved combo damage and the ability to actually confirm. A bigger thing it gave him was simply mid-screen presence. Ability to combo out of a far range low strong improved Vega's neutral so much in ways I can't even begin to cover. All of a sudden you couldn't take risks against him because his pokes turned into a beefy hit, a knockdown, and Oki. Just compare that to this. You might notice now that I've criticized EX Roll, EX Scarlet Terror, EX Sky High Claw, and EX Flying Barcelona as being bad. That's all 4 of Vega's EX moves, not counting the actively detrimental EX Remove Mask. I'll tell you right now that Vega also has no useful FADCs. You can't FADC Scarlet Terror, his sweep, or pretty much anything else. The only FADC he has of note is FADCing the last hit of Rolling Crystal Flash. But get this, it's only +4, and he loses charge by dashing forward, so the only combo is to hit a 1-frame link into low jab, and then another link into low strong so you have time to charge EX Flying Barcelona. That's 3 bars to spend on a combo with 2 1-frame links and insanely precise charging that's not even strong. It took me over a dozen tries to hit that combo. I guess you can technically focus cancel the last hit and just let the focus connect. But that's only useful if you have 2 bars to waste and just need a teeny bit more damage to secure the kill. Like Ultra 1, Vanilla Vega Super also didn't hit on the way up, which meant if you wanted to use it, you had to just do it raw and pray it worked. Many characters had things which could just always avoid him on the way down, such as any teleport, most Shoryukens, or Vega's own backflip. The Super Freeze ensured the opponent had time to react with Anti-Air Ultra if they had one, so too bad for you if you tried to Super Fuerte, and instead he lands on you with his invincible Ultra 1, which you now can't avoid. It was a mix-up even trying to land it on someone who had no good escapes, since they could either try and time an anti-air on the ground, or even meet you mid-air. Currently, Vega can hit Super on the way up, which lets him actually confirm into it. But this isn't a change he got until Ultra, if you can believe that. Vega's reliance on 1-bar combos meant Super was almost never a factor for him, so it wasn't really a weakness. Most characters rarely use Supers in SF4, so Vega having a bad Super wasn't really a big deal. But what I'm really getting at is that Vanilla Vega's 5 EX moves are all extremely situational or outright useless, he has no good FADC, and he has a bad Super, so he basically has no useful way of spending bar at all. One of my favorite defective things about Vega is the entire normal of Crouch Fierce. It doesn't cancel, and it's -11 on block, -6 on hit. Even though you can technically link into it, it's terrible to land because there's no way to make it truly safe. It's safe on airborne opponents because of the air reset, but the only launcher that combos into it is his Cosmic Heal. And that same launcher combos into his sweep, which does the same damage but also grants a hard knockdown. I bet you're saying to the screen right now, but Baf, that looks like it might be a really good anti-air. Finally, let's go over some deliberately bad things about Vega which were extra bad in vanilla. If you hit Vega a few times or make him block a few hits, his claw will come off, and eventually his mask too. In vanilla, it took fewer blocked hits for him to lose them, only 14 for the claw. And in vanilla, he'd take significantly more damage if he was hit without his mask compared to later versions. If you want hard numbers, Maskless Vega deals 1.1 times normal damage, but takes 1.25 times damage, so not having the mask is usually horrible. Simple combos would absolutely melt Vega's HP. Additionally, losing the mask and claw was based on number of hits rather than damage, so characters like Gen or Chun-Li could make him lose them incredibly quickly with their safe multi-hit attacks. I mean hell, just watch this. This is a full durability Vega. When Vega was already the worst character in vanilla, it really makes no sense that he had this special unique mechanic of making him even weaker when he was already losing. You did get that damage buff from not having the mask, but it's small, especially considering it costs 2 bars to remove the mask yourself. Vega can also manually remove his claw, but there was literally no upside to this, besides immediately picking it back up to refresh the number of hits you have to take to lose it again. Even up until Ultra, Vega's anti-air is extremely bad. This is a feature rather than a bug, and the idea is that Vega is extremely dominant on the ground compared to most characters, so we should struggle to prevent air approach. In vanilla, you didn't have anti-air Ultra 2 yet, and Crouch, Fierce, and Stem Roundhouse were even worse than they are now, so basically every attack you had traded or lost to air normals. What this meant was you couldn't really prevent the opponent's approach at all. His main replies were actually meeting the opponent mid-air. But even that often lost to slightly early air buttons from the opponent. Vega also had unusually poor defensive options. His only invincibility came from his backflips, which could admittedly beat some option selects between the variable recovery time. Unfortunately, the long duration meant the opponent could simply react to either without OSing, especially with something like a safe jump or meaty light. Even now, Vega has no invincible reversal besides Ultra 2, which didn't even exist in vanilla. This is really strange in SF4, which in general was a game with invincibility everywhere, notably giving every single character a huge invincible move just for losing half their health. Vega was the only character in vanilla who didn't have any sort of invincible attack, since he was the only character whose Super and Ultra didn't have invincibility which lasted until they hit. Finally, this is extremely minor, but Vega had no cross-up on a normal jump for most of SF4. He got a cross-up light kick in Ultra. That's all I've got. Vega is usually regarded to be a mid-tier character from Super onward, and he's had a few strong players over the lifespan of the game who really made him work. I just think it's funny how overtly bad he was at launch. There's probably a few things I didn't mention if you can believe that, so Vega experts might be able to share a few more in the comments. Thanks for watching.